All right, all the light we cannot see by Anthony Doerr. Anthony Doerr is one of the most impressive writers of prose I've come across. It's just he writes so memorably and just in a really stunning way. Highly recommend any of his books, but this book in particular won the Pulitzer Prize in 2015. All the light we cannot see, and certain lines from this book. I read it over 2 years ago, and certain lines I've never forgotten. They just haven't left me. I still reference them sometimes in conversation to this day and think about them quite often. So the first two excerpts are those two in particular. The remaining ones are ones I've forgotten about, but remembered when I went back and reviewed my notes. So I'll jump into it. The premise of the book, it takes place during World War II. There's a guy who lives in Germany, is fighting for the Germans, and a girl who lives in France. She's blind, and she's part of the French resistance, and their paths cross towards the end of the war. So first quote. What mazes there are in this world, the branches of trees, the filigree of roots, the matrix of crystals, the streets Marie-Laure's father recreated in his models, mazes in the nodules on murex shells and in the textures of sycamore bark, and inside the hollow bones of eagles. None more complicated than the human brain, what may be the most complicated object in existence, 1 wet kilogram within which spin universes. Man, that last line, I'm going to read it again. None more complicated than the human brain. 1 wet kilogram within which spin universes. That phrase, I have never forgotten. It struck me so much when I first read it. Just incredible writing. All right, second excerpt. He thinks of the old broken miners he'd seen outside Munich, sitting in chairs or on crates, not moving for hours, waiting to die. To men like that, time was a surfeit, a barrel they watched slowly drain. When really, he thinks, it's a glowing puddle you carry in your hands. You should spend all your energy protecting it, fighting for it, working so hard not to spill a single drop. That image of time as a glowing puddle that we hold in our arms, trying not to spill a drop. I think about that all the time. Next quote. We all come into existence as a single cell, smaller than a speck of dust, much smaller. Divide, multiply, add and subtract. Matter changes hands, atoms flow in and out, molecules pivot, proteins stitch together. We begin as a microscopic electrical swarm. The lungs, the brain, the heart. 40 weeks later, 6 trillion cells get crushed in the vise of their mother's birth canal, and we howl. Then the world starts in on us. It strikes Werner just then as wondrously futile to build splendid things, to make music, to sing songs, to print huge books full of colorful birds in the face of the seismic, engulfing indifference of the world. What pretensions humans have! Why bother to make music when the silence and wind are so much larger? Why light lamps when the darkness will inevitably snuff them out? So the final quote comes from the end of the book. Marie-Laure's just decades later, long after the war has ended. And she's reflecting. Torrents of text conversations, tides of cell conversations, of television programs, of email, of vast networks of fiber and wire interlaced above and beneath the city, passing through buildings, arcing between transmitters and metro tunnels, between antennas atop buildings, formed lampposts with cellular transmitters in them, commercials for Carrefour and Evian, and pre-baked toaster pastries flashing into space and back to Earth again. I'm going to be late, and maybe we should get reservations, and pick up avocados, and what did he say? And 10,000 I misuse, 50,000 I love yous, hate mail and appointment reminders and market updates, jewelry ads, coffee ads, furniture ads flying invisibly over the warrens of Paris, over the battlefields and tombs. Over the Ardennes, over the Rhine, over Belgium and Denmark, over the scarred and ever-shifting landscapes we call nations. And is it so hard to believe that souls might also travel these paths? That her father and Etienne and Madame Manek and the German boy named Werner Fenning might harry the sky in flocks like egrets, like terns, like starlings? That great shuttles of souls might fly about, faded but audible if you listen closely enough. They flow above the chimneys, ride the sidewalks, slip through your jacket and shirt and breastbone and lungs, and pass out through the other side. That air, a library and the record of every life lived. every sentence spoken, every word transmitted, still reverberating within it. It's no surprise why this book won the Pulitzer Prize. Again, just really stunningly well written. And if you haven't read it yet, I strongly recommend it.